Would I lie to you? That was Nico Santos in the mix on 94.3 Radio 1. Next up, it is time for a very special Listener Connect.
Hello, you. Hello, you.
Well, it's Hello You, a very interesting connect with Delhi. We have a Radio 1 listener from Delhi joining us. And let's welcome Sandesha to the show. We hear you're an assistant professor at JNU, Sandesha.
Yes, I am. So hi, Erica, and to everyone listening out here.
Well, it's never spoken to a professor from JNU before, so this is the first. I'm going to ask, what are the current trends with teaching these days?
Well, the trend is basically, as you know, artificial intelligence has entered into every sphere. There is this major discussion happening where how teachers or how faculties could actually use artificial intelligence in their teaching, methodology. So we are still working on it, I would say, yes.
Are you surprised by how quickly the kids are turning in their project reports and stuff today thanks to AI?
Yes, I am. And actually, honestly speaking, we can even make out who are the people who are actually using AI, ChatGPT and all. I just had one example of it day for yesterday. A student of mine asked me to check a mail that he was sending for an important, request to another professor. And I looked at it and I immediately messaged back and I told him that, by any chance, have you used ChatGPT? And he actually was quite honest and he said, yes, ma'am, around 60%. 40% is mine. Fact is that when you know the students, you actually know their caliber, correct? I think one of the mistakes that gets them caught is when they actually try to use their originality, because their originality is completely way off the mark from the ChatGPT.
So it's a bit of a hybrid mix match of the student's line of thought and of course ChatGPT.
Yes. And one thing, Erica, I just wanted to correct you on one thing. I'm not a professor yet. I'm only an assistant professor. It's going to take me a while to actually reach that level. I'm still an assistant professor officially, okay?
Okay, I stand corrected. I now have that in your profile. It's assistant professor at JNU. Let's come to you though, Sandesha. What would you like to tell us about yourself that makes you unique?
All right. Okay. So something that is unique about me, which is also something to do with the special day that today is. So ladies and gentlemen, everyone who's listening out there, today is August the 9th, which is the International Day of the World's Indigenous People. And this was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in December, I think if I'm correct, 23rd December 1994. Now, interestingly, a lot of people actually, they get confused or they think that the terms indigenous and tribal are the same. So in certain aspects, they are similar, but yet they're different. There's not going to be a class about that. So people who are interested, please Google, and Google Baba will tell you about it. What I would specifically like to point out is that one of the main concerns about indigenous communities is that there's a lot of indigenous knowledge which is being used by the non-indigenous communities. And it is kind of sad that today when I opened up the newspaper, they had two huge ads about some state preparing for a tribal day event, but there was no article about the indigenous communities and why it has to be celebrated. Why should people talk about it?
Well, we got to continue this chat. I'm so interested in what you have to say. So stay with me. It's Radio 1 listener Sandesha from Delhi right here on A Drive with Erica. Would I lie to you? That was Nico Santos in the mix on Adventure of a Lifetime. Coldplay in the mix on 94.3 Radio 1.
Hello, you. Hello, you.
Well, this is Drive with Erica, and I connect with a listener every week. I pick one from one of our four cities we go out to, and this time it is Sandesha from Delhi, assistant professor at JNU, and she's brought to light that today is celebrated as International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples around the world, observed every year on August 9th. She in fact belongs to an indigenous tribe, and we're learning so much about that. It is back to that chat. In the backdrop of so much going on in our country with respect to indigenous people and tribals up north, it's all the more important for us to be aware of the situation and of the different kinds of peoples that exist in our country.
Yes. Our country is a country of many countries, honestly. And there is a unity in diversity that is keeping us together. I have been teaching English for more than 10 years. Right. And I would never say that English is like the topmost language. Yes, it is a language that connects us to the world, but that does not mean it's like the number one language. And I would not at the same time say that any one particular language is the number one language. Every language is equally important. And I'll tell you something more interesting. A lot of people think that if a language does not have a script, that means if it is not written, then it will not survive. So I would like your listeners to know this, that my indigenous community has an endangered language that does not have a script. What is important is speaking the language. Yes.
Yeah, I have to interject and ask you, what is the name of the language? Which tribe do you come from, and what is the name of the language?
We call ourselves Rang, okay? And we are a small community of maybe around 10,000 or less than 10,000, not only in India, which I'm counting our people who are across the border, because our community people have been divided by the river, and there are 3 villages which are on the Nepal side. Okay. And I also want to tell you something. Who we call tribe. When you close your eyes, what is the image that comes in your mind? Trust me, 90% of the people are going to say that they are looking at people in the forest who are basically in leaves, having a bow and arrow. Maybe to a certain extent, yes, it was there earlier, but right now things have changed a lot. We do have people still in the mountains, in the seas, in the forests, who are tribal indigenous people. But at the same time, we have many, because of the Constitution of India, because of the rights that they were given, the opportunity to educate themselves, and they have done a lot.
Well, thanks for sharing that, but you still haven't told me the language that you speak. What is the name of the language you speak?
No, sorry. So the community is Rang. So our language is Ranglo. Ranglo.
I'm so fascinated because at the end of the day, language is just merely, a means of communication, right? And there's something that is endangered. It needs to be preserved for all practical purposes, for all anthropological reasons as well. It just gives you kind of rootedness and takes you to your sense of origin. So thank you for sharing that with us. Today is a very special day. I think indigenous populations around the world are confronting land rights, cultural preservation, prejudice, marginalization, social economic inequalities, all of that. And it's so great and refreshing to hear your voice on this radio station.
Thank you so much, Erica. But so yes, we are an amazing country with amazing people, and I'm proud to be a Rangsha. I'm a Rangsha, by the way. Rangsha is a female from the Rang community.
Right.
Yes.
It's my first time that I'm meeting with a Rangsha and learning so much along the way. Thank you so much for sharing our space. We've learned so much from you today, Sandesha.
Yeah, and we keep listening to you and we love you. My daughter's at home. There are 2 other Rangshas who are a huge fan of yours. I mean, on Instagram and everything, we keep listening to you so much that when your producer called me and told me, I was like, oh yeah, I know her. I have been listening to you for so long. And thank you so much for all that you did during the pandemic, for keeping us going. I mean, people say teachers and doctors played a huge role, but you guys were fantabulous and you kept us so positive and keeping our spirits high. God bless you all, man. Thank you.